and welcome to a special edition of Loading Ready Run presents Dice Friends, Not a Drop to Drink, A Tale of Vancouver Island by Night, Series 2, or 5th Edition Chronicle, 2 Vampire, 2 Masquerade, Electric Boogaloo. I'm joined by our storyteller and his coterie. Jacob, would you mind introducing yourself and your troop, please?
You got it. Well, I'm going to let my troop introduce themselves because I get nervous. My name is Jacob Burgess. I am the storyteller for Not a Drop to Drink, Vancouver Island by Night. I'm also a games writer and a voice actor, and I help run indie games publisher in Yisbird Games.
And Cameron, you're next.
Hi, my name's Cameron Lauder. I played Silas Reed of House and Clan Tremere in Not a Drop to Drink. I am a internet clown and a, I suppose, writer and technically a researcher as well.
But in real life, also, what are you? No, I'm just kidding. Corey?
Hi, I'm Coriander Dickinson. I'm fellow clowns with Cameron on a weekly basis. I do some stuff with Tilty House with my partner Ian, and I had a lot of fun on this season.
Heather, hello.
Hello, I'm Heather Dery. I work at Loading Ready Run. I do YouTube management, stream personality, play in this game. At home, I stream over at twitch.tv/LunarJade, and I play Jessica Chadwick, the best Toreador on the planet, as far as she's concerned.
The Toreador with the Moriador. And Cameron, you're playing Silas Reed, who is a Tremere, did you say? Did you say? Okay.
Yes, he is a Tremere warlock.
And Corey is playing Jordan Hinkleman, the Brujah.
With the hoo-ha.
No!
No!
Yeah.
I've been trying not to this entire time!
Oh, no, that's all I'm going to be able to think about.
Oh, no. Well, Adam, can you get through that fog to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up? My name is Adam Savadan. I am a member of Loading Ready Run / a streamer, and I played Oliver Tyndall, the Kaitif
with the bite
kindred.
teeth.
Yeah, Kaitif. I don't know, but he's trying his best, you know.
Well, obviously, for those watching at home, the family and everyone tuning in, there will be some spoilers in today's discussion. So you have time to flee to go to it's youtube.com/LRRTT, am I correct? To watch all the VODs. They're all up now. Before we get into the discussion, let us enjoy a retrospective of sorts that Heather has prepared, which none of us are prepared for. So let's all just dive into this together.
This will be interesting.
Because every roll is a risk to messy critical or bestial failure. And if those come up, which with this group probably won't. Oh, no.
3 successes and 2 crits. 1 crit on a hunger die.
Okay, so a crit is only 2 10s.
Yes.
So
I got 2 10s.
And one of the 10s is a hunger die.
One of the 10s is a hunger die, and then the other 3 successes.
It's about to get wild.
Okay, so this is what's called a messy critical. Ready?
Oh no. Did it again. It's a messy crit.
No. You did not.
I did. I got a 10 on a hunger dice. And a 10 on a normal dice.
How many successes?
Messy critical.
No.
I have a messy crit.
What?
And 2 other successes.
Okay, before we started this game, what the fuck ritual did you all do? You're like, oh, we're playing Vampire for the first time. Let's just fuck with him.
Yeah.
Dice.
I don't know, man. It's just right here. I'm looking at it.
Damn it, you jumping Jehoshaphat. Okay. Not every session needs a messy crit. And that's so all right. Not every session needs a messy crit. Because Cameron volunteered to take notes and is pretty much great. Cameron has a messy critical that he gets to trigger for anybody, including me, and any of the rolls that I need to make, by the end of this session.
2 successes.
2 successes. Ooh, very, very good. But just 1 second.
You need 3 to catch up?
It's an opposed check.
Yeah, let's go with the messy crit.
This is the messy crit?
This is the messy crit.
Excellent.
This is
All right.
the crit.
There's at 3. Like the beast's really active, so like
The messy crit for who?
Whomst.
For whomst?
For Jordan. It's
Yeah,
gotta be for
for
Jordan.
Jordan.
The tradition.
Yeah.
I have 2 10s on the hunger dice.
That.
That's what.
Just that. What'd you get?
2 successes, just 3.
Just 3? Just 3 regular normal successes?
Yeah.
All right. There's the second messy critical of session 1.
I got 2 normal successes as well.
Oh, good.
Just
So
not-
that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. A messy critical. So you are all attempting to get away. Jessica gets away extra good. And as you're taking notes again, I want to give you another messy critical to use before the end of the session. Except I would like to give that messy. I would like you to choose who that messy critical goes to. Could be me. Could be any of your fellow players.
Like, decide now.
Please.
Adam.
No. Let me be clear.
Mhm.
You're giving it to Adam to use before the end of the session.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. It's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah. So that means you can turn any roll
Yeah.
into a messy critical,
Sick.
but you must do so before the end of the session.
Okay.
You didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Did you?
Both hunger dices are 10s.
Whoops.
My
Should-
hunger dice are
Shouldn't have grabbed that phone. Oopsie doodles.
We're going to roll a frenzy check.
Okay.
Let me just.
Messy critical.
Please no. My hunger's at 3, man. I can't.
Nah, I'm using it right now.
Who's running the frenzy check?
Wait, legitimately?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for a frenzy check,
Mhm.
the hunger dice do not apply to willpower checks. I am so sorry.
Dang it.
But because I don't want to, I don't want to yuck your yums. Would you like to automatically succeed at this, or would you rather hold on to the messy critical and make the roll naturally?
Oh, I'll hold on to the messy critical.
Messy critical?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
hold on to the messy critical, make the roll naturally. Now, we're coming close to the end of our session for today. And there was a messy critical that hasn't been used yet.
Yeah, I wanted to use it, but
Sadly, not on that roll.
yeah.
So if a messy critical isn't used by the end of the session, what do we think should happen?
Maybe it's the first
Maybe it
roll
goes.
next session.
Maybe possession transfers to Jacob.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
like,
I
you get it.
I don't
We don't use it.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. So it's on the first roll next session?
I just think if we
first roll
if we didn't use it, the very first roll that happens next session.
Next session?
That's
It's just a
it.
messy
That's
critical?
pretty
Yeah.
good too.
Yeah.
All right. If hunger dice are involved in the roll, it's the
Mhm.
first roll next session.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic.
We can game that.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Do I even need to roll?
No, you don't.
Well, 4 successes.
Yeah, it's good. Too bad it doesn't matter.
Oh, it does. It's a messy critical. This doesn't have to be bad.
Is it enough?
If I crit,
You're right. You're right. It's possible. Hold on to your dreams.
Yeah, I believe in you.
that is a crit. So that's okay. It's a crit. It would be a messy crit, but I also got another crit,
Mhm.
and then another success.
That's great. That doesn't keep it from being a messy crit, though.
Okay, so that's 7 successes.
Great.
Oh, a crit.
Oh,
So 5 successes.
like a real regular crit? Like a regular crit?
Regular crit.
Messy crits have freaking have definitely outweighed regular crits. So this is the rare occurrence. You wild people.
2 successes.
2 successes? Well, that can't beat the messy critical that I just rolled.
Oh, Wait, a messy crit is, that's 5 successes.
5 successes and a messy crit?
And a messy crit.
And a messy crit.
Oh, 2.
I had 3 successes.
3 successes?
Yeah.
Excellent. 2.
Oh, lovely.
Messy crit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Marvelous!
6.
2 messy crits. Holy So we're gonna hold all these messy crits. We're not gerbering this baby because there's 3 messy crits on an initiative roll.
Yeah.
So these 3 messy crits, we're gonna bank them all for next session.
Okay.
Please make a note. There are 3 messy crits that we will bank for next session. They will be used at my discretion.
I could not have
goddamn.
predicted that T-Buck would roll a messy crit to resist domination.
Like,
Oh.
that's our thing.
Yeah, that's our job.
That's true.
The one-
How dare I?
So it's a messy crit
Sick.
on a blood walk. On a ritual to find out who this guy's sire is.
You alone in a blood lab. Just
Okay,
Yeah.
so how many successes total?
8.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
Does his sire pick up? Like, hello?
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Oh, who am I speaking to?
Jacob's never going to need those messy crits the way we go.
Yeah.
Let's just. Okay. All right.
Whoa.
Did it get hot in here? It's hot in here, isn't it? Isn't it a little warm? Is it a little?
It might be warm where he is.
It's a little.
And cold, actually.
Are you a little
Yeah.
chilly?
Oh, which is weird because my palms are sweaty.
Yeah, that's the oddest thing in the world. You need to get more than 1 success.
Oh, you can do that.
Do you want to just take half?
Don't say that.
You want to take half?
Do it.
You can
do
take
it.
half. All right, do it.
Messy crit. Messy
He did a
crit.
goblin face.
2 successes.
2
Two.
successes?
Wait, isn't that a 1?
That is a 1.
And isn't that a 1?
Yeah, what about it? It only matters if there's no successes.
Yeah, only matters if
Okay.
there's no successes.
I know you love
you're,
that.
You were just like, wait, but that's a 1. Isn't that a 1? Doesn't that mean? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And your face just fell. You were just like, oh, man.
So close.
What do you...
I'm gonna be peeping on yours for once.
I know we all made monsters, but y'all don't have to hate your characters so much.
I don't, but you have to understand I'm a chaos goblin.
You all are. The way that you roll, that energy carries through to the table. Except maybe poor Cam.
Yeah, and poor Adam. Just felt left out.
That's an incredible face.
I don't know what came over me.
I'm going to use one of my messy criticals. You exit the bathroom after having a wonderful conversation.
Dinger.
At some point, we will go into what happened in the bathroom.
Okay.
But you had a wonderful conversation. You both feel a little bit closer now.
Oh, sick.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, I got a new friend.
All the rats
Finally.
you both walk out with 2 bags
of rats.
filled with rats. You
Sick.
successfully cleaned the bathroom, had a great conversation. You both feel a little bit closer now. Temporary willpower there if you want.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? Oh, you might.
I think we want to know more than that.
Yeah. You know what? Don't bother. Messy critical. So. I'm using one of my messy crits. But how many successes? Just for chuckle.
5.
5? Excellent. We're gonna messy crit it, which would, by math, make it. It'll be fun. 4 successes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good for both of you.
Yeah.
I think I have a present though for you because I have one last messy critical.
You do.
Dinger.
You absolute nut jobs were just like, yeah, we got this, and that I'm personally I'm thrilled. Like, wait a fucking vampire. And that's where we're going to end Series 2 of Not a Drop to Drink, A Tale of Vancouver Island by Night. This has been absolutely fantastic, and thank you so much for coming along on this ride with us.
Oh my god.
Fucking awesome.
Wait a fucking vampire, as the man said. Now I'm not a physicist or a scientist, but it does seem like if these messy crits be coming out of dice, there should have been some bestial failures in there, like even like one. What happened there?
So I actually got the rule wrong, as a matter of fact. The bestial failure rule I got was wrong. What I had in my head was from previous editions is that if there is a 1 and no successes, then it is a botch, is what it was called in previous sessions. A bestial failure is if you roll a 1 on a hunger dice and don't succeed at the roll. So if the difficulty is 3 and you rolled a 1 on a hunger dice and only 2 successes, that's a bestial failure.
Oh.
Well, I guess
So that should have been a bestial failure.
Oh, the one that Heather was so disappointed to see go by.
Oh, so Heather was correct.
Heather was correct. Yeah, Heather was right. That is what I'm saying.
Say it with your chest, Heather.
Is there some
come around again?
Yeah, some sort of bank that goes into.
I didn't say that.
No, is that cubed?
I'm gonna cube that.
Okay. I noticed also there's the Gerber rule, which is obviously fantastic.
Yes, named after Meredith Gerber, one of my very best friends, who used this rule, who introduced me to this rule, to their house rule, when they were running the Chicago arc of my home game with Cash the Car and Ryan Ike.
I want to.
She was the guest storyteller for like 6 months.
And she also designed this logo, didn't she?
She did also design this logo.
The whole,
yep.
Yeah. Multi-talented individual.
Yes. Yeah,
and
she designed the logo and the I think it was just the logo and the color palette.
Yeah, but obviously her fingerprints are all over this this chronicle as well.
Yeah, she's amazing.
But the Gerber rule, in the interest of, everyone kind of submitting, I noticed that the rule where a messy crit gets transferred to the storyteller for the next session, that rule does not have a name. And I was wondering if we could just sort of Gerber some names together and find out what that rule is called, because I liked that very much.
I only have horrible names in mind. The Fanked Bank is the best I can come up with on the spot.
Fanked Bank?
So many fang puns. This whole series.
I gave it a shot.
Yeah, I like it.
The precedent's been set for like the Burgess rule.
Mm-hmm. The Burgess effect.
Yeah, the Burgess effect.
The Burgess effect. The Burgess continuum.
I like the Burgess continuum.
Just really glad we did that. I honestly feel like the whole thing of if you won't use the gift given to you, now it has to go off because you left it too long.
Awesome.
Ooh, Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, that's so good. Come on.
Actually, I see in chat a messy Burgess. I like messy Burgess.
I like a messy Burgess. The Burgess bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta put the crit in the Burgess bucket.
Put it on the Burgess burner.
The reason that I say lovingly fuck off to Jacob's Ladder is I've literally been hearing that my whole damn life.
I know.
And I would like that to not be associated with something I really, really love.
Yeah, just call it the Good Golly Miss Molly, and we'll all
right. Yeah, or the Jingleheimer Schmidt. Never heard that before. The Jacob Burger. Never heard that. Yeah. No. I like the what was it? The Burgess. The
Gerber.
The messy Burgess.
Yeah.
The messy Burgess.
The messy Burgess. Well, let me see. I didn't prepare a lot of hard-hitting questions because I knew chat would also be paying, thousands of eyeballs on this story. I did want to. I wrote down everyone's convictions, and I want to check in and see kind of where your characters are at with their convictions at the end of this cycle. Adam, if we could start with you.
Yeah, what's up?
Oliver's convictions going in are don't harm innocents, and good enough is not good enough. I don't mean displaying your character to you. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
I guess it's the position I signed up for here.
No, that's fine. We do it all the time.
Hey.
Yeah, I suppose as storyteller, you're a connected organism. But how do you feel? Oliver made a lot of connections and learned a lot about himself in this series. He was kind of fish out of water still at the end of the second series. How do you feel he sits with his convictions now?
he's a little rattled about the whole, like, when he attacked T-Buck thing. That was a new experience for him because his I feel like if you were human in the modern age, and especially at Oliver's age, and then all of a sudden you became a vampire, you would probably not go immediately into eating or feeding on people. And I think it's like still that part of his humanity that he's like, I can't just eat somebody, you know, like I can't just, it's another person still. Like he's still at least like vaguely attached to what it means to be a human being still.
He relates to his prey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he thinks that just like, I mean, I hate to say this because I don't agree with it, but Oliver doesn't consider animals like on the same level as humans. Like Oliver, the character. Mm-hmm. So he justifies it by like, if I'm feeding on them, then I'm not really hurting anybody. But I think that might be just like one of those weird human workarounds where you like convince yourself that a thing is okay, even though you're still hurting something, you know? But
yeah, even with living humans, that's the rationale around eating animals, isn't it? Like, oh, it's morally defensible.
Yeah, it's like he's just, I don't know. Like I think I played the Oliver is a bit clueless too hard. That's like my one regret, I think. But as far as this like series went on, like I think I played the bumbling idiot a little too far.
Well, I mean, we can throw that to the troop if you like. Yeah. Your stated intent from the top of the first series was that, you know, Oliver is all of us, right? He's sort of the point of view character. He's asking the what may feel like dumb questions that we would ask if someone had just eaten someone's neck in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still, you know, it's not the city of darkness. It's not the state of darkness. It's a whole world. There is a lot of information still.
Yeah.
And just the clans that we sort of touched on. There's even more clans than that. But they're all descending on the island now. Mm-hmm. A lot of first impressions being made, which brings us to our Toreador. Yes, with the Boreador.
Yes.
Jess.
Yes.
Never a Boreador.
Yes.
Never a Boreador. Leads you wanting Moreador. Jess's convictions are best foot forward, and truth is important, which I feel from my perspective that Jess really stuck to in this series. How do you see that sort of guiding Jess with all these new friends she's beginning to make?
Well, I feel like best foot forward is hampering her a lot, because especially around Oliver, because he's just doing all kinds of things that she's like, you don't do that in front of people. Why would you? And it's messing her up because she wants to disassociate with him in front of other people. But also the coterie is still kind of important as well. I'm personally still working on the truth is important one with my character, because I try not to delve that into that means that she has to tell the truth, which I feel like sometimes she lies at really weird points while I'm working on that one.
Truth is important, but it's not necessary. It seems to be what she's arriving at.
It's not always that she knows what the truth is.
Right.
It's not important that she gives other people the truth.
Well, I'm very excited to see. Well, one day in the hypothetical, not a drop to Thrink, which I'm going to insist that it will be called, should it ever happen. Thrink. I'm sorry. I just heard Danny Geef laugh in the other room about that. So that's the last time I'll bring it up.
I don't believe you.
Wow. Well, I've just been read. Now, Corey, I think Jo really stuck by her convictions of completing her tasks.
Yeah.
And always seeking an advantage. Something I noticed about Jo that I personally enjoyed was, you know, as Jacob mentioned a few times, in the vampire and the world of darkness, conversation is combat. But it feels like in the case of Jo, sometimes combat is combat. With, you know, punching T-Buck from the side of the head, just from outer space, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So what so how does do you see Quinn asked for more sort of tact going forward? Do you see that as something that Jo will try to do, or will she abide by just whatever advantage, however she can seek an advantage?
Yeah, it kind of depends on knives and how stuff goes with having the Archon locally. Because, like, so Joe's basically the agent for an Archon who has authority above and kind of tangentially beside Quinn's. So, like, my dad can beat him up whenever he wants with no problem. So, I don't really have to listen to Quinn, but for the same reason that, like, Quinn's keeping Oliver around as, like, needed bodies and allies, I would like to stay on Quinn's good side. No.
By handling his Oliver problem on his behalf, etc.
Yeah. If we set up a whole domain on the island, then I don't know. Quinn can, yeah, sure, he can stay sheriff. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. We'll see how it shakes out. Best of luck to him, whatever he decides to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, best of luck, or I'm sorry, I'm not reading all that.
As long as he does what I tell him to, it's gonna be fine.
Just stays in his lane.
Yeah.
And I can tell there's a whole Quinn and Knives backstory that I'm just going to write fan fiction about in my head for a while, I guess.
Okay.
And that last but not least is our Silas, who his convictions are, please correct me on this if I'm wrong, never alone and nothing ends.
Yeah.
How is he with those these days?
Well, I think his conviction that he is never alone means that he is always searching for connection, which I really enjoyed as a way of exploring the Tremere blood bond, which is now gone. Tremere vampires used to be bloodbound to their sires by 1 degree. That's correct, right, Jacob?
It used to be bloodbound to the concept and clan of House Tremere.
Yes.
Yes.
So
by 1 step. So any Tremere that you met, you were like, hey.
Yeah, they would have a very hard time going against hierarchies. And that is no longer part of their bloodline. But I think that the hole it leaves still has a kind of gravity to it.
Because Silas craves being a good boy. He strives to be.
That's something that he kind of, was important to him in life, that he had family responsibilities. And the Tremere blood bond kind of fit into that, or he fit into that concept quite comfortably. It was something that he took to without really thinking about it. And now that he is detached from that, he's starting to interrogate it a little bit, I think. Why do I always need to follow the rules?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I, in fact, he doesn't do a great job of it, right? There's kind of an adolescence to his obedience, where it is a little bit servile and also a little bit resentful. And he likes coloring within those lines with the wrong colors, and seeing what he can get away with as not even really a conscious thing. So being a little bit contrarian or being a little bit reckless within that.
Mm-hmm. And on the island, a lot of hierarchies are being sort of called into question and being reinvented.
Yeah.
And so Silas is in an interesting position to be questioning the nature of his hierarchies that he lives in.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Silas might wind up questioning rather all of the hierarchies that he kind of just takes for granted right now, right? We're all expected to be here, but nobody's really enforcing them. And in fact, they don't seem to be working that well. Have they ever worked that well? They don't seem to have.
I think you should talk to your Brujah friends about this.
Well, they love authority.
I think Silas would look at the anarchs and think, you're not using that word correctly. I don't really
I just set a church
that
on
an
fire.
anarch would subscribe to the concept of a baron. Right? That's kind of like not a very anarchic concept, having a feudal lord.
I would agree.
So
And
people have said that Silas seems a bit cagey about where his loyalties lie, and that maybe he is edging towards the anarchs. And I don't think that's true. I think he doesn't really like any of these ideas that much, now that he has kind of thought more about them.
And it echoes what I recall Oliver pointed out at some point of like these vampires, they've been doing this for centuries, you know, perhaps thousands of years, and they don't have some of this shit figured out. How is that?
Yes.
They seem to present such an organized front.
Yes. And frankly, it seems to be getting worse. The vampire hierarchies are, I mean, they started ossified and have just gotten more brittle and inflexible, and that boat don't float here no more. Right? It's gone from an inquisition several centuries ago that, you know, did some damage, to one that is probably going to actually wipe out vampires. Right? Like, they bumped over the pyramid on day one. They just dropped a J-dam on it. Like, that's, and nobody knew what to do about it.
Dude, I just had the most intense vision of Oliver asking if there's like a school board equivalent for vampires, you know? Because like the way he complains about it, it's like, why is there nobody's organized? Like nobody has any idea what's going on when I talk to the school board, you know? Like he's complaining about his job, basically, because he's a vampire now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just picture him like just asking if there's a thing he can show up at, like a public.
and the fact that Silas was, you know, kind of embraced at this nightclub, right? You know, that's kind of a fun, sexy vampire thing that Silas would have, you know, kind of grokked as being, you know, like, well, you know, I've read Anne Rice, I've read Dracula. We all know that vampires are supposed to be kind of fun and sexy. And this is kind of an interesting idea. What do you mean you idiots are in charge?
Yeah.
What do you mean this is how you spend all of your time?
Yeah.
Has anyone thought about anything?
Yeah.
No.
Where's
nothing?
Rep? Yeah.
And not to mention,
Nobody's
like,
thought about any of this, huh?
the senior leadership is just disappearing off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, folks, this is bad, and we don't have a lot of time to solve this problem. And,
Like,
you know, you say that to, I'm assuming, a lower generation vampire, and they're like, we got hundreds of years. Don't even worry about it. And
Got all the time in the world.
yeah. No, we
It's
don't.
gonna be
We've got like
fine.
6 months. They're going to have blood-seeking robots. We're going to all get hit by meat-seeking missiles within a couple of months. Come on, Lockheed Martin's got trillions of dollars that they're using to solve this problem.
Yeah. What's
Like,
the thing
Silas
when
would
you're
just
like,
be watching like footage from whatever war is going on, being like, "Oh, you could adapt this trivially." Like,
yeah.
you know, the idea that there are infrared cameras in airports, just watching for people who are cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of the Second Inquisition and Project First Light people call, because they don't really know what vampires are, they
Mhm.
call them blank bodies because they are just blank on heat scans.
Mhm.
What's weird to me as a player, like this is Adam, not like not the character I played, but as a player, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, so they regulate vampires heavily, right? They're watching, there's rules, there's everything. And it seems like they try to keep a very like tight lid on who's a vampire and who is not, right? And it's just like looking at them like, you are so disorganized. None of you have any idea what's going on. It's actually incredible. Yeah, which is like a weird, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like juxtaposition, I guess. Like it's like you try to keep like everything very tight knit and small, but you can't even keep that under control.
Yeah,
It feels
and
like,
their criterion for who gets to be a vampire is very high school clique,
Yeah.
right? It's like, well, are you hot? Do you dress nicely? Are you fun to hang around with?
No, none of those things. Yeah.
That's how you make friends, though. high
I'm
school.
actively none of those.
You got
Yeah.
time to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. So I think Silas is kind of clinging to his convictions as being extremely valid and terrifying for being valid.
Mhm.
Right? Nothing ends and you're never alone. Well, what are the worst possible ways of interpreting those things? Right? Like,
Mhm.
nothing ends. I kind of cribbed directly from Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
Where it's just this line that gets thrown away in the middle of a conversation and completely uncommented upon. And it was like the most profound thing I heard when I was 4 years old and remained so for a decade and a half. Right? But I always enjoy taking what somebody wants and giving it to them in the worst possible way. So what
Monkey's
if you were
paw.
right? What if you were right?
That would have been an excellent moment to throw to the messy crit montage, frankly, but we already burnt it.
Yeah.
Getting what you want at a cost. Speaking of which, Jacob,
Hi.
we haven't heard from you in a minute about Vampire or other things. Obviously, it would seem from Jacob, the storyteller's perspective, that this series was a success. Your players had fun. You created an excellent story. How did Jacob think it went? What is Jacksub's feeling at the end of the series?
Jackson doesn't care. He
Jackson
just wants to see it keep going. Yeah. Yep. It's not there. The concept of Jacksub is just like the processes in the back of my head that just kind of run the game from start to finish and then have to adjust all of what everything is. It's the operating system essentially that I use to run the game. Jacksub doesn't care. Jacksub's just like, okay, here's variable X. Here's an interesting direction that it can go in. Here's variable Y. Here's an interesting direction that it can go in. Here's variable all of the coterie. Okay, that way. Yeah. He is uncaring and pleased that things are happening.
He's invited online. He's brought out a torpor when he's needed.
Yes.
Put back in.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm absolutely thrilled with the story that we're telling, and the directions that are going, and the unexpected ways that that the direction changes and needs to be adjusted. It's an incredibly satisfying challenge to put it in motion and to adjust on the fly while still threading the line between serving the story and serving the players and serving the audience. And serving myself, because I should be having fun at the table as well. It's satisfying does not begin to describe how I feel about this game. Yeah.
I mean, isn't it rule one of like storytelling in general? It's just like, we're never going to do what you want us to do or what you had in mind, right? Like, it's just, I mean, not to say that there was like, did you have any regrets about it, but just not disappointed. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I'm just like, is there things that we didn't do that you were really banking on?
No, I don't do that. That's a fool's game.
I figured, but I don't know. You never first asked, right?
If I may, there's Can't Wear Hats asked a similar question in maybe more positive phrasing. Were there any sort of directions that the players took that you found unexpected, that like you were genuinely surprised by?
Everything. Everything. That's that. I like literally. That's no hyperbole. It's when I've already written the whole game. Like the game is set. All when I sit down at the table, I've got all the players. I know where everything is. Like it's. I have ADHD. Very bad. So in order for me to run an effective game with all the moving parts, especially doing it live and having to consider an audience and the players and the characters and all these different levels, I have to do this huge mise en place amount of preparation work beforehand, because preparation is the enemy of anxiety. So it's everything that the players do, and that's one of my greatest joys and delights of running games. Everything that they do is surprising and delightful. if you want me to pick one moment where I was like, in series 1, the van chase was amazing because I will ask my players, hey, what do you want to have happen? Like, what are some things that you as a player want to see or experience? And they'll give me a thing. And Corey was just like, van chase. Okay, great. So all I did was kick it off, and then it just ran. I didn't know how it was going to finish or play out. I
Could have been the end of the chronicle there for all we knew.
Yes, as a storyteller, you planning an ending, I think, will lead to disappointment. Planning for an ending is the direction where I feel like a storyteller should go. Like you should plan for an end, but not for an ending.
Right. The difference between a plan and planning.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I
because
guess I could have.
It's a destination.
Yeah. Sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I cut you off too. I guess I could have worded. I should have worded it better, but I'm just like, I have never ran a game before of any kind, so I imagine that there are always going to be feelings of like dinger, like at least a little bit, right? Like it's just normal human kind of like you like wish you had at least an idea of like the direction. I mean, like players are going to do whatever they want, right? Like,
yeah,
I understand that you're not like giving like a skeleton framework of exactly how you want the story to go because that's impossible,
right?
But,
so a moment for me is I would have liked the opportunity to, and again, I want to be very clear, is that when I write a plan or an idea, I am ready to throw all of that. The baby goes out with the bathwater. I do not give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a personal favorite, like storyteller player character that I have or anything like that. Do not give a fuck. Just throw it the hell out.
Yeah.
But I would have liked the opportunity to actually speak just once as Reverend Brother Sweetwater.
Yeah.
He said goodbye to those nice.
That's the kind of answer I was looking
He
for. Yeah.
did. I did get to speak to him as Brother Sweetwater to the players, because there was that one. There was the one scene during the blood walk. But yep. I would just because he's actually one of the characters I wrote in Cults of the Blood Gods. So is Monica and some other characters that you haven't met yet. But yeah, that was the only like because I was like, all right, I'm gonna brush up on this accent and like kind of get it ready, and like I was ready to like move my hand like off screen and like do things like this and like play with the camera and like the actual like storyteller screen and stuff. But yeah, that was the only time where I was just like, nah, dinger. But it didn't go anywhere emotionally beyond of just like, well, because I was the one that was just like, his head squishes. That was my choice. Like I chose that, but there was still, that was a Jacob versus Jackson moment where Jackson was like, this will serve the story and be interesting. And Jacob was like, oh, come on, man. No, watermelon time. Gallagherific. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that you're not like the kind of person that would be like disappointed in us like as like a player group, right? Like a storyteller that would be like, oh, I wish they did this, but
no,
that's kind of what I was looking for. I was like, is there anything that you wish you could have like?
I would say incredulity. There were a lot of incredulous moments out of Jacob, but no, like
I'm from New York. I'll be incredulous to if a bee flies in front of me the wrong way. Like, yeah, but no. Nothing like actually serious. Mostly just all performative and just like, oh, fuck you, come on. Yeah.
So I think we're going to take some little breaks, some little blood breaks on the hour. But with the 10 minutes we have left on this hour, Jacob mentioned his moment was the van chase. Did everybody else have a yes sort of moment in this series that they would like to share?
God, the blood walks were great.
Those were excellent.
Plural. Blood walks, plural.
Yeah. Getting a messy crit with T-Buck was just really interesting.
And I loved all of those pitches in the Gerber circle. Every one of those was beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt it worked really well for, blood sorcery. thaumaturgy to get messy crits there, because it makes it feel more volatile and dangerous.
Mm-hmm. More experimental.
So the fact that I rolled messy crits doing those things felt appropriate. And I enjoyed that quite a lot.
Corey, how about you?
I really enjoyed
several.
punching T-Buck in the face. Like
The entire the head, his entire
Yeah.
cranium.
that was beautiful. That was my favorite thing. And
And you
then
were
we
laser
had to
focused.
wait till the next session to
You just let all the dopamine from that punch just circle out of your system
yeah.
in the week that ensued. Because you were laser focused in, okay, he's off the ground, he's on a fixed trajectory.
Yeah.
And I plow into that trajectory with my entire body.
Yeah, I like to think that an undisclosed percentage of T-Buck kept moving like along his original vector
Yeah.
and just kind of like clattered against Silas.
Some teeth just kind of rolling down the road.
Yeah, I really loved making friends with the moon. That just running a messy crit at the end of a session, and then it being like, oh well, you take off really well, and like I don't know where my character went, and I had to spend an entire week between the recording sessions, be still kind of sitting there going, I don't know where my character went. they got away. I know that, but
I
I
signed
don't
on
know,
for the next
I still
session,
don't
so
know where
she's
they
still
went.
around.
It's one of the reasons I really like the messy criticals in our games so much, is because of the Gerber role, is the interaction we get with each other, where we throw out ideas and talk about them, and then between 5 different people, at some point somebody says something really silly and you're like, we're all doing that. Yes, we've all agreed we're doing that.
And I mean, that was something that really intrigued me about Wraith. Was there was a White Wolf game called Wraith where part of your character was played by the person to your left or right.
Why are you doing this?
I thought it was a really compelling idea, and all
We
of
got
my
7
friends were
minutes to
like, I don't
do
want to let somebody else play my character. They would just drive it into a wall. Like, maybe I have the wrong play group.
Wraith is the one World of Darkness game that I've played once. It's called Wraith the Oblivion. I've written for it, the 20th anniversary edition, and I won't run it. It is at once the most hopeful and darkest game. You have to have ironclad trust with your group in order to play it in that style. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to tangent too much, but you said my Manchurian Candidate phrase, which is great. Adam,
Treadstone activation.
Yeah.
I really liked just interacting with everybody, all the like my fellow players and just any random characters that we ran into. I mean, like, what would happen if your dad became a vampire? And he just wants to be like, he's trying to be interested in the things that you're interested in, but he doesn't understand it. And he's trying to understand it. That's kind of how I was playing it, or trying to play it. And he was just trying to be overly positive about it. Like, just have a sunny disposition, I guess. Like, he's been dealt a crap hand, and I just really enjoyed how everybody, what's the word I'm looking for? Tolerated me. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. I was tolerated as a character, which is fine. I enjoyed that.
Perspective is very refreshing, I think.
Yeah.
It's very important.
It's very much like, I find that relentlessly interesting. Like, I know I can't play Oliver like that forever, because it doesn't work, because
there's no character.
He's going to
growth.
learn. Yeah, there's no growth, but
yeah.
These first couple series, as far as like, I haven't played a lot of tabletop games. I think Oliver might be my favorite of anybody that I've played. I don't know. I just find it relentlessly entertaining to do. And I just liked interacting with people. I think it's just improv though, right? Like, I think I just like improving with people.
I think a good turning point for Oliver, and this would be another moment I really enjoyed, is when he stood up to Quinn. That moment felt like a turning point a little bit. That was great.
It was calculated.
That was great.
That was baiting Quinn into that conversation, basically.
Nice. That's very cool.
Yeah,
that was really sweet.
I do like the idea of like, I mean, can Oliver, like, as a human, like as a regular person, be given all this power and not abuse it? You know, there's a struggle there, which I find interesting as well. So like, what do you do when you're given immortality and a bunch of cool powers when before you were just kind of discarded, you know?
Yeah.
That changes somebody. So I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, as he learns the scope of his power.
Yeah.
Oh,
And what
I
he can
mean-
get away with, right? Like he doesn't, people will get away with as much as they think they can get away with, right? Like,
He's got this human hangover of thinking human rules apply to him still.
Yes,
He's not
yes.
there anymore.
it doesn't. Yeah.
If we want to go back into like the memoriams, I really enjoyed those. Playing a different character with a thing, and specifically in Oliver's campaign, having that phone conversation and telling him that he was on the bottom of this list of a thing he really wanted.
I'm so glad that the structure of the memoriams worked. It took me about 3 days to try to figure out how to spotlight a character but involve all the players. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of, and I also, because I knew all of you would knock it the fuck out of the park, because I wanted to give you all a moment to flex, because a lot of times when you are, we're all online performers and we're all internet clowns, but you're all very, very good performers. And I know that. But a lot of times you don't necessarily have a platform to show off the other aspects. And I wanted to see what could happen if that platform was presented, and you're all incredible.
Yeah, those were fun. I like those as like from a being on camera perspective, I think they are interesting because it just snap forces you to play something on the spot and to make it different and at least help pushing the scene forward, you know?
Yeah.
Because we're just like focusing on whoever's memoriam it was. It was like what we did with Cameron's campaign. Do you remember when we did those one-on-one things? Not the
after the
tangent
Yes.
too hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we also did the same kind of thing, and those were a lot of fun as well.
Oh, here I thought I was being original.
Ooh, no, we did like a post game. Like, here's what happens. To
Yeah,
the
these
character
are
afterwards.
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Like
So
a
it'd be
where are
opposite
they
of
now?
Memoriam.
I mean,
No,
to be, they were a little bit different because they were one-on-ones.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
They were also one-on-one. Yeah.
Okay.
But I like
All right.
the
I feel
collaborative,
better.
like- No, it was a good, like, I wouldn't have thought of doing that as far as like, you know, like a game to be presented or to flesh out a game, like a tabletop game that way for an audience, right? It's like a interesting, I think it's like it's still very collaborative, but also like all the other players get to add something to the world. Like there's characters there that people really liked, and it's just like, we have contributed something, and that's just a nice feeling. Is like, as far as like being on camera goes, you know, you want to feel like you are making a dent, you know.
Yeah, and I want to absolutely stand by the maximum that we're all telling the story together.
I really liked being able to introduce some elements of my character's backstory, but at the same time, getting to like cause trouble for other characters' backstories was delightful.
Yeah, that's also part of the fun too, because I know that we're all like, I trust all of you, and it's like I know that you would never do anything like malicious or anything. It's just like you're just being a little goblin sometimes, you know, and that's fine. That's totally cool. Like I think it adds a lot. I know that we joked a lot about like, oh, we're driving these characters like we stole them, but it's like, I think it works, you know, in a lot of ways. I think that style of play is like very entertaining. And I dig that. And I like that everybody here was like very on board just to be like, yeah, if we were like a random NPC, we're just going to go like hard on it, you know, like we'd never see them again. But like we knew like a lot of these memoriams, like we weren't going to see the characters that we probably aren't going to see the characters again, but we all played them like we would, if that makes sense, you know? I don't know. I was just really super proud of everybody. I don't think I've said that out loud, but I don't know. You are all great. But it's just, this is the long and the short of it, really. I'm just very proud of you as like performers and talent and everything else. very incredible. I don't think you understand. Like, that's hard, right? Like, that's a difficult thing to do. Like, just to drop in and be a character, like, with no preparation. Because, like, when we did those memoriams, it was like, all right, who wants to be this? I was like, I guess I will. I'll do it. Yeah. But I think
I like to think I prepared you a little bit more than that.
But that's not a criticism, you know? Like, I'm just saying that's to the, like, that is a positive for us as performers.
Absolutely.
We can just be like, Jacob is like, all right, we're going to do this. This is the scene. This is what we're talking through it. Like, we still talk it through, but it's still like, it's on the spot. Right?
Yeah, it is. It was all made up on the spot. You had the seed and then just kind of got to run with it. Yeah. I don't want anybody to think, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I don't want anybody to think that like 2 seconds before the camera went on, I was just like, your name is Victor, no. You're a Tremere. Like, no.
It was nothing like that. But it's still like, I mean, even if you get like 15 minutes or something, it's still like, you gotta kind of you pick a direction and hope it works.
Maximize your minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, speaking of minutes, we are now on the hour, so let's take a quick little break to hydrate and stretch our legs that we definitely have because we're not ghosts. Well, but please join us when we come back for more Loading Ready Run presents Dice Friends Not a Drop to Drink, A Tale of Vancouver and by Night Series 2. Hello, and welcome back to Loading Ready Run presents Dice Friends Not a Drop to Drink, A Tale of Vancouver Island by Night Series 2, 5th Edition Chronicle. Q&A.
For enliven.
It's a real, as Graham would say, it's a real Dagwood sandwich of a title. But it comes trippingly off the tongue. I wanted to ask about something I was personally interested in this last chronicle before we get to chat questions, which was the scene, I believe, in the parking lot of the community college where Oliver expectorated 3 months worth of food in a big old human-sized owl pellet.
Yes.
That was my personal delightful.
That was at Uptown Mall.
It was Uptown Mall.
That was at Uptown Mall. Yeah, that was no, the Whole Foods.
You can't be transfixed by the moon and owl pellet at the same time.
That was at Uptown. So, all right. So
there's a lore precedent for that, I would hope.
It's not a precedent, but there are reasons why that happened. Because vampires generally can't like digest food. Like it's part of in the Book of Nod, it's one of the curses that are put upon Cain is that anything that enters your mouth will taste like ash. To you that like isn't blood. Vampires essentially, when they eat food, a lot of times they vomit up blood. But Oliver is a Kaitif. Oliver has an incredibly high humanity, like 8. He also has the merit, to eat food. He's a Kaitif. His humanity is 8. There's a lot that is going to be happening in his system and in the power of the blood that would happen instinctually. So there are some of that food that actually can get digested with such a high humanity. Normally, even if you have low humanity and you have the trait eat food, you still have to hork it up essentially, or it just happens while you were sleeping. You just wake up and you're just like, oh, there's everything that was in my belly, including some blood. It's great. So it was 3 months of food, but not like just like a packed in owl pellet, because he didn't know what he was doing. I figured that his innocence, his high humanity, and the combination of all of his particular traits that he picked, and he can actually get enjoyment from eating food, not as much as all of us would get from mowing on a tasty burger, if that's your thing, it would all be kind of like digested, and some of it would be digested and absorbed, but a lot of it would still come out like a tube once the conscious mind realized what the unconscious mind was doing. And then it was a Play-Doh fun factory.
And Adam, was Oliver changed by this experience, or do you think he'll continue to mac on human food?
No, absolutely not.
What we agreed is that he now throws it up at the end of the night, now that he knows that he technically
doesn't have some sort of Kirby power where he can just gulp up a whole meal. Okay,
definitely not. No,
that would be a different tree.
Dill can't poop.
One day.
Well, maybe Kirby can't poop, so
What does he need? Like vicissitude for that? Like
The vicissitude would be the thing that if you wanted to poop, you would need vicissitude, but it would still be like really gross. Yeah, like if you want to start getting into body horror.
I meant to turn him into Kirby, like a
to turn him into Kirby? Yeah,
Kirby.
that would be vicissitude.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't like to think
And he
about
can do
Kirby
that
drinking
because he's
blood.
Kaitif.
Yes. If those are disciplines that he wanted to learn, yes.
So you're saying there's a chance.
An incredibly outside chance.
Doesn't matter.
But
Just on the
no,
quest to
not
turn
to
into
poop,
something.
to turn into Kirby. Just to be clear, I want to be clear. No. Pooping is just one of those vampires can't poop. Yeah.
That's where I do my best thinking, though.
Oh, my best tweets come from out of it.
Nothing's preventing you from just sitting on a toilet. You went to the bathroom like 4 times in the
That's
same
true.
episode.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. That's why that website's so shitty, Molly.
How
Damn.
dare? Oh, well, I think this
Everybody's
is
best tweets.
They wouldn't call the website something that rhymes with shitter if they didn't intend us to tweet from the toilet. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
I want to start cracking into some questions from the chat now. Somebody asked, and I'm interested in this as well, if there was any discussion about blood walking Oliver one day to learn maybe his background. If that's something that Silas would be interested in doing, or if that would serve the story as far as you're concerned.
I have run 3 games, including this one, that include a Kaitif that are really interested in who their sire is because everybody loves to be an orphan, and a Tremere with that ritual. And I just sit there and just go like, this literally is a flip the switch and figure out who the sire is. Nobody ever thinks of it.
I mean, I've been thinking about it. I've been waiting for Oliver to ask.
I guarantee you Oliver will never, we're not even close to the point where Oliver would ask. Yeah.
I mean, it's something he's seen him do. Silas isn't going to offer it because I don't think Silas knows if Oliver cares or if Oliver would prefer not to know. Sometimes for Katif, it's, doesn't matter who your sire is. Doesn't matter who your daddy was.
I thought Silas might actually end up asking Oliver because if Oliver is the lamb that kind of keeps getting referred to, maybe that's a reason why. Maybe that has to do with it.
I would expect Jordan to bring it up because of part of dealing with the Gehenna cult, like the Thin Blood Scourge, right? Like finding out if Oliver is related to that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And Quinn did assign Joe to find answers about Oliver.
Yeah.
So that would certainly be an answer.
It goes on my get all your tasks done conviction.
The to-do list conviction.
So
Yeah,
large of a to-do list for you, Corey.
The to-do list conviction is just great. A great tool for my character. It just gives me so many reasons to stick around with you weirdos.
Silas has been fairly aggressive in using it, but only as an investigative tool.
Mm-hmm.
It is useful to find out where certain things are coming from, i.e., if somebody's creating and dumping thin bloods, and that's being a problem, then knowing who that is important if you want to solve that problem. But it's also feels a little rude, a little careless, a little disrespectful of someone's autonomy to suggest that Oliver should know who his sire is.
Yeah, what are you, a Ventru?
Yeah, it doesn't always matter, right? Maybe you don't care. Maybe it's liberating not to have that, hanging over you, because I think Silas personally feels kind of lied to by his sire. You didn't get that? Oh no, Silas, we're all dead. we all died a long time ago, and what this is not life.
Mm.
So if Oliver wants to know, we can figure it out pretty trivially. And Silas figures that is an open offer. Oliver can ask whenever he wants, and Oliver isn't asking, so Silas isn't going to push it.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just a set of circumstances that's like never going to happen.
Oliver is so new that
that's
like,
fine.
He doesn't understand why it's important.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one day, who knows?
He has no idea like what it means or why it would change anything. You know,
That's a piece of his vampire identity, and he's still fully kind of in his human identity for the most part.
I think Silas might be thinking like Oliver's kind of like a child who's been adopted or been orphaned, right? And that might be a sore point. That
Talk
can
to
just
Quinn?
be a sore point about like, you know, it's like suggesting that somebody who's been through adoption should like profoundly care about who their biological parents are. That's a personal thing. That's their call to make, and it's not my position to, or not my choice to push.
So we shouldn't hold out for a Maury Povich style "you are the sire" kind of reveal coming out of.
I mean, I would highly suggest not having any expectations you hold too dear with our group, because sometimes we'll just turn everything to fire.
Yeah, and that I note that as a Heather tendency that extends to this whole group, which is wonderful in the spirit of your collaboration. It's nice that you're all on the same page about that.
Yes, all of us.
The dice have their own agenda, seemingly, but it keeps you all aligned.
You threw out as many messy crits as the rest of us, Jacob.
I decided
you gave us a couple.
I did because I thought I would try to enter my fun-in era, just fun-in, you know, and try to get a little bit more with the vibe at the table. And well, that was a mistake. And
I noticed you stopped giving those to us as gifts.
I didn't need to. I forgot I didn't need to. I didn't. There was no. I was like, it'll be fun, and I'll do a little bit of this. And what kind of rewards can I like give the table that's not experience points and things like that? Like, what can I do? Oh, this is a good idea. I'm going to try this. Well, it's like giving, like being like, hey, you here to eat pizza? Fantastic. Y'all brought your own pepperoni. Doesn't matter if I try to give you a free pepperoni pizza. You already brought all of the pepperoni. You're like, we're good. And I'm like, well, I brought some pepperoni too. I want to play. And then you turn around and you go like, well, you also brought pepperoni. Like, I was just trying. I was trying.
There was a lot of pepperoni on this pizza.
God, so much pepperoni. Oh my God. We had an entire montage full of pepperoni.
We had a whole roll, an uncut roll of pepperoni.
God damn.
Uncut roll of
Yeah.
pepperoni it gives you a very strong visual.
Somebody taking a bite of a cheese pizza and then a bite of the roll of uncooked pepperoni. Just
Yeah.
we're good,
basically
man.
a Slim Jim as thick as your arm. Get in there. Now I have a craving for human food. Question from Fragile Paper in chat. Was there a point for each of you where you had to seriously think about a decision ahead of you that would in some way change your character in a big way? Were there ever, it's like sort of inflection points of like, this is in the same way that, you know, Jacob was surprised or not surprised by you. Did you ever surprise yourselves with what your character decided to do? That seems like a no. Okay, next question.
No, I mean, I think that like, I was like kind of surprised when I threatened Quinn a little bit.
But you said it was calculated.
Yeah, but you still can surprise yourself even when you know like you're going in with like wow, I actually did it.
You don't always know what moment you'll pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still like go in like you can request like I requested that scene because I had an idea of what I wanted to do or like what I wanted to do, but it's like it does feel like that part of like I mean the innocence can't stay forever, right? So it's like I do need to take this character in a direction that's like probably a little bit I guess, darker than what has been displayed on the tin so far.
Okay.
Not that that's like every character needs to be dark in Vampire, which I don't think that's the case, but I just think that like Oliver is like tired of being pushed around a little bit. And so I don't know. I can still like, because when I'm playing the character, like I am just, it's a usually moment to moment decisions or session to session decisions. Like I'm never like, oh, in session 6 I'm going to do this, or like, you know what I mean? Like I don't have a long-term game plan. I just kind of go
trying to get through the night.
Yeah, just trying to get through the night. But I don't know. I just like, that surprised me a little bit in the fact that I still went through with it. Because like I do like the goofy side of Oliver, but it can't stay forever.
Yeah. So you think this will change how this is a new way that you'll play Oliver maybe going forward, or a new aspect to him?
Yeah, baby steps, right? Like like a slow burn. I'm taking all my storytelling cues from wrestling, so it's like it's a slow burn, right? You know, it's like you just incremental little jabs here and there, and that's it.
Are you positioning Oliver as the heel? Is that kind of your...
Yes. Yeah, I think it's no secret that I like a good bad guy, or bad person, right? Like I like a good villain. So I think that the idea of, as far as going forward, like Oliver is not going to be able to hold on to this humanity forever, right?
But he will certainly try.
Oh, he'll try, but yeah, he's not strong enough. We all know. He has no chance.
And that slow slide is kind of intrinsic to the personal horror of the game.
Yeah. That's kind of what I like about it, actually. If I'm going to say positives about, like, I know that going into this, I was like,
I'm going to say positives.
Well, no, I mean, like, in that, like, I know that when I started, I was like, this isn't really my jam, like the setting and everything else, right? And it's like, if I'm going to give you like positive feedback, it's like, yeah, I like it does a lot of the stuff as far as like the way stories are told is like there's a lot of morally gray areas because these characters all have like immense power, you know? And they are taken from a life that they thought was just kind of fleeting. And even like, no, not even that. It's like, you know, the human thing where you just like, you don't appreciate life enough because you're not thinking about the ending of it. And I feel like Oliver was one of those people where he just never once did a thought cross his mind where it's like, wow, this is the only one I've got, you know? And now all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm alive forever. So now I've got it all. So now what, you know? And I find that super interesting as far as from a character standpoint. It's like, I don't know, what do? You're just given the keys to the car, you know?
Yeah, Oliver's frame of, I'm going to see the end of every TV show that's ever made. That's a lot for me to process. It just, how every character kind of contextualizes their relationship to theoretically eternity, barring, you know, injury to the head or, you know, your house getting lit on fire or what have you. Yeah.
I think that's super cool. I like that like aspect of it as far as like the telling the stories and everything. It's like,
yeah. And he's just confronting the enormity of this whole lifestyle for the first time.
Yeah.
Whereas Jessica seems very comfortable in her vampire-ness.
Yeah, she likes being
really
vampire.
coming into her power.
I love this.
She's throwing winks over her shoulder at people.
There's so many things I don't have to do every day now if I don't want to.
I think that's like a product of, I'm not going to speak for
cut.
everyone's characters, but like the younger you become a vampire, the easier it is to like.
There's stuff she doesn't agree with, like, you know, the whole cell phone thing, which is, just doing that all the time.
Well, you haven't had the second Inquisition yet.
I'm excited for that. That's going to be horrifying. Hey, I'm allowed to be excited about things that Jessica's going to be freaking out about.
I'm not saying you're not. I'm scared.
Yeah,
get scared when they show up.
For Joe, this series, I wanted to push her more towards not doing everything herself or thinking that she has to. And I don't know if I quite quite made it there. More because I was like surprised by what other people were doing. It's like it's hard to not treat someone like a toddler where they're actively acting like a toddler.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to be like, oh yeah, now I see that you're a full-grown human being who can make decisions and keep themselves safe. If they're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. But now Joe Sire is in town, so that's the whole power structure that Joe's been operating within is all topsy-turvy now.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe now the coterie will respect Joe a little bit.
Right.
I mean,
I've always respected Joe.
I am trying to push Jessica to be a little more friendlier to Joe, but I don't know if I could say she would respect Joe yet.
Yeah, I think in future, like Jessica and Joe definitely need to have a scene where they have like a talk.
Mm-hmm. There's a familiarity there, but not a bond quite so much.
It's just the problem with her being very mom-like.
Yeah, and Jessica has a very sort of independent-minded relationship to authority figures, it seems.
Joe's a cool mom.
You're still just a mom.
She's got a leather jacket.
You got cooler during the concert scene.
Yeah.
That was why I followed you around for that.
I have some ideas for another set of memoriams. Yeah.
I'm excited.
You gonna dish, or are you just saying that to be cryptic?
I'm saying that to be cryptic for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, just based off of I want to have a conversation with Joe. I think. All right, yeah, I'll just toss this out there because I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Paired up memoriams. So next time, instead of one spotlight being on one character, start putting them into paired combinations. Yeah,
that sounds interesting.
Like paired combinations that, like Oliver and Silas, for example.
Yeah,
I think would be
Oliver
very interesting.
Yeah, Oliver and Silas's bogus blood walk.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
something
boy.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry. Cameron, did you have like a moment that surprised you, or
Turning point for Silas?
I mean, I think Silas is winding up in a position like less where he is surprising himself or I'm surprising myself with what I'm doing with him, but more that he is being a lot more pliable and a lot more passive than he thought he would be. That he is disappointing himself with how readily he accepts authority. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, his definition of what it is to be a good boy.
Yeah, is a little servile for his tastes.
Were you like surprised at all that he wanted to preserve the blood lab to like get into blood alchemy?
No, I think that might have actually been a little bit of him showing some spine. That he wanted to preserve that, and keeping T-Buck and Marge alive, I think, is a decision that he made. And he doesn't know why he made that decision yet. Because, honestly, he's been kind of a Camarilla adherent for the most part, and Thin Bloods don't last long in the Camarilla if there are decisions to be made around that. And he came to one of those decision points and made a decision. And here they are.
And for
And
me,
he doesn't
it
know
echoes-
whether that's out of mercy or out of weakness or out of thinking that he has made a decision when he really hasn't.
And it was an interesting mirror to the scene with Jess and Silas, where Jess is administering to the Marge's victim, and Silas insisting, like, we have to just go. We can't be sparing this. And then for him to do like the merciful thing with Marge, there was already interesting sort of swerve to that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, protect Marge, as Chad is saying.
Yes, that Silas is. He thinks he's being tough when he's really being evasive.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
fucking love this conversation.
Yeah, because Silas and Jess have, and probably Joe also too. There's sort of a, I guess you would call it like a big kindred energy, right? There is a projection of confidence that Oliver may get to one day, but there is this. I guess it mirrors the sort of organizing structure of vampire society, this projection of competence and authority with this kind of nobody really knows what's going on, tap dancing just underneath.
Yeah, Joe's terrified, and she's definitely doing things she's not supposed to.
And she loves authority. It's one of her defining traits.
Oh, yeah. Big fan. Big fan.
So long as she's the authority.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of authority, we have a question from chat, if I may, for the whole coterie. At the end of session 1 with Chains, there seemed to be some leaning towards the Anarchs. And now seems to be a really kind of oscillation between the Anarchs and the Camarilla. Which way, I guess we'll go character by character, are the members of the coterie kind of leaning at this point? Assuming, and Jacob, is it fair to present those as the two halves of this, or is there more dimensions to this conflict?
There are dimensions to this conflict that, there's another dimension to this conflict that was lit on fire and smushed. So, yeah, let's say those two halves.
Yeah, there are two now.
Yeah, there are two now. Yeah, there are two now. Yeah, the other one still exists. Let's just go with there are two now. Yeah.
And do we count the Giovanni as, are they another dimension, or are they aligned?
I would say that is an option, yes, because the Hikata are the only truly independent clan left. Yeah, so I would say the Hikata might be another option. But that hasn't really been explored as to what that might mean.
Yeah. And if the coterie is all going to be pulled in the same direction, or is there sort of an individual pull on the part of the characters?
Right. So I would say splitting it between the Camarilla and Anarchs right now would be fine. Mm-hmm. Appropriate.
I would say that Silas kind of rejects both of those as being an orthodoxy he has to adhere to. They both seem like related power structures that, like, hey, do you want power structure A or power structure B? They both kind of accomplish the same things and function in similar ways. Well, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you choose, like, bad choice A or bad choice B?
Yeah. I think Silas might even be getting to a point where he is questioning the validity of the clan structure itself. Mm-hmm. Where he has... Okay, the core theme of Vampire revolves around the monster that you have become. And a lot of that is integrating the beast and deciding, this is just what we are and this is how we move forward and we are all monsters now. And Silas kind of looks at that and says, yeah, but it's still monstrous.
Yeah,
it's
beast
still...
beast I become.
Yeah, we don't like those things. I don't like being a beast in the night. I don't think that's good. I think the structures that support that are actually unimpeachably evil. So if the choice is between the Camarilla and the Anarchs, that isn't a good choice, and the forces that are compelling you to choose between those two things might also be bad. Also, both of those things might not be long for the world. The Anarchs have no they have no operational security, right? They're just kind of out there being their thing and saying, this is what we are. The world can deal with it. And it seems to Silas that the world certainly is going to. Right? Like if Project First Light was capable of kicking over the pyramid, then the Anarchs are just, they're toast. Right?
So Project First Light was capable of kicking over the pyramid because two elders decided to try to use mortal agencies to fight one another. They didn't
Yeah.
find it on their own.
Yeah. So that is humans handing out Darwin Awards to vampires for being shitty teenagers, basically.
Yes, for trying to
And-
do the same thing that kicked off the first Inquisition.
Yeah. I'm sure that's not a problem for anarchs, right? That's not a thing anarchs would ever do. Never, right? Like that was a one-off thing. That was a mistake. Everyone learned from that experience.
Yeah,
right?
no, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's not going to have that. You are absolutely correct. I am merely pointing out that Project First Light didn't find out about it on their own. That was because that was somebody messed up and it kicked off this whole thing.
They got a lucky break.
They did.
And I'm sure Project First Light didn't learn about a whole bunch of stuff that way either. And Silas will look at the fracturing of Clan Tremere, right? At the factions that are like there's 3 kind of factions now within the Tremere. There's I forget the names of the people leading them, but they're all cleaving to these other power structures.
Tremere, Karna, and Goratrix.
Yes, right. And they're all like, we're going to align ourselves with this.
There's a 4th Anarch one, but
yeah,
they're very tiny.
And that hasn't worked. It doesn't work. It's not going to work.
So Silas is going to go into business for himself? Is where he's leaning?
Eventually he's going to, like, I think he thinks eventually this is all going to come to light.
Mhm.
There's no keeping a lid on this anymore. So we should probably start planning for that eventuality, right? Whether it takes 1,000 years or whether it takes 5 years, humans are going to realize that vampires exist. And what then?
And this is all on Silas's plate while he's scouting a location for the Chantry, which just adds to the expansion of this power structure that he deems mostly obsolete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he likes drawing buildings. It's a thing that he's allowed to enjoy, and I guess it's a project he's working on. He's got a day job. He gets to work on a project. That's pretty cool. I assume it's going to get burned down or have a bomb dropped on it. Eventually.
Eventually. But that could be said of most made things, I would assume. You're just going to
So-
be around to see it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. So I guess if you were to ask Silas which you're aligning yourself to, he would say, I think they're both bad, but I don't know what my options are.
Silas is a walking existential crisis.
Nothing ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're immortal. Well, that has some implications, right? Extinction's coming.
And I love that this is in the same as Mr. What do you mean I can't poop? Like the many different grades of existential crisis are represented here.
There's been a wide range of emotions.
I
on
gotta watch
display.
my daughter age. I can't start my business. I can't poop anymore.
I feel like pooping is the least existential issue.
It's a very existential time for a mortal, depending. But that's you're not connected to your sire, and you're not connected to your bowels. There's an emptiness in both. What am I talking about? Why am I still here?
But yeah, like I think Silas would reject the entire question of like, well, who are you aligning yourself to? And would probably try to sit down with people who keep asking that question and saying like, this question implies an awful lot that doesn't necessarily, that it isn't axiomatic. You are assuming things are given. That is not true.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of us are going to make it through this, you need to start interrogating those things that you think are axiomatic, because you might find that they're more fragile and volatile than you think they are.
Yeah, on a certain level, kindred must take their immortality for granted to a certain point. They just assume we'll be around forever, and so we can maintain these structures.
Yeah. I would also think that Silas would start to get irritated with the term kindred.
Feeling no feeling of kinship.
Yeah, like that has not been his lived experience. Kindred, you say? Are you sure? Are we really sure? Or is that just another comfortable lie we're telling ourselves?
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Joe loves authority and is in the same sloppy little Venn diagram between all these places.
Yep.
Obviously under the employ of Quinn, but where does Joe see herself in this new sort of paradigm that's forming?
Joe's priority is the safety and security of her friends and family. So she's using the Camarilla as a secure structure to consolidate power within. Like, she doesn't necessarily agree with them, and she's far too educated to kind of fall for it, I guess. to fall for the Camarilla's
the safety of an
self-talk
institution
of like being the best and greatest. She's very Bruja.
Pays the lip
Underneath it
service
all.
when needed. Yeah.
So yeah, just her and her Bruja sire are just hanging out on this island.
Just going vintage shopping and
yeah. So it's like the Anarchs don't provide any stability. The Giovanni seem sort of addicted to their power and money and brand, I guess. Oh yeah. I mean, once you've eaten your first ghost, like you can't stop there, right?
No. It's like a bag of chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, can of Pringles.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also part of kind of what Silas is dealing with, where long-term planning and thinking is very important for the continued safety and security of the things Joe cares about. So I don't know. She's not going to have any issues if any of the coterie doesn't follow the Camarilla, as long as she doesn't get in trouble.
yeah. It just means her van is safer for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long live Vandolph.
Long
what
live
about Jet?
Vandalf.
Long live
Rip Van Dam.
Long may he drive. What about Jess? Because pretty appealing offer from the Giovanni is on the table. But also, does Jess feel any loyalty to her coterie and where they what is in their interest, or is Jess looking out for number one?
Jessica is very kind of lost in the idea of options right now. Like the beginning of series 1, Jessica's sire Tripathy is on the Primogen Council for Vancouver, and that's very Camarilla. And as far as I'm concerned, Camarilla was the only option she was even aware of at that time. That she had.
Yeah. So Tripathy is on the Primogen Council of nominally an independent Vancouver, because Vancouver has been independent for a very long time, but Tripathy is definitely Camarilla leaning, like heavily. Yeah.
Yeah.
And raised you in that mentality.
Yeah. And so it'd be like being raised by your parents to be a specific going to a specific college or something. The idea of going to a different one would be just weird. Just a weird idea. And then she met the Anarchs and honestly doesn't see what's really wrong with them. They're a little loud. But they seem like they have a little bit more fun. Camarilla's a little stuffy. But would she go with them? Dad might have a problem with that, and therefore she might not. And I don't think she's even looking at the Giovanni as a clan joining option. That's just, there's a cute girl over there that she's exploring something else with. Like, I know everyone, I've seen people try to divide up our characters and where they're leaning. They're like, oh, Jessica's going to go Giovanni. And I'm like, she's got no that's not even a thought that's entering her mind right now. She's talking to Monica.
It really seems like more
that's it.
Giovanni's going to Jessica is what's happening. You know what I mean?
Maybe I don't.
Hair flip over shoulder, wink.
Yeah, like the whole the beginning of series 2, when it was like, oh, what's Jessica doing? It's like, oh, she's just walking around parks and trying to figure out things. It's like anarchy,
being hot, making art.
I wouldn't
What's wrong
mind
with that?
going and hanging out with them some more. How much of that can I do without getting into a lot of trouble for it? I went with some other kindred who definitely said this was okay, and therefore I have a scapegoat. You know, it wasn't my fault that I went to this party. My friends took me to this party.
And there was drinking there, and I didn't know. Somebody just handed me one.
I didn't know. I didn't realize those people.
I thought it was blood. It was in a red cup.
Yeah.
The dangest thing.
Yeah.
Like you'll see that she constantly kind of throws other people under the bus when there's this air of somebody's going to be in trouble if you answer the wrong way, and that's just her being like, it wasn't me. I'm perfect every single time, and that's going to probably bite her later, but you know.
Mm-hmm. And I like to imagine Jess, because often she'll be on her phone while a scene is happening, just quietly fact-checking people. Just
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh.
Oliver is firmly his own man as clans go.
I would.
Oliver,
I would be lying if I said I didn't have a clue what either side represented or anything. I have no idea. I mean, like, that is very much like Adam, the player, doesn't have any idea what any of this means, so Oliver doesn't know. And I think he's more... He doesn't really have much interest in the politics of it at this time. He's just looking out. He's just trying to, like, make sense of everything that's going on, as opposed to, like, picking a side, so to speak. Also, he'd need to go to their monthly board meetings, you know, for each side. He needs he needs to vote. You know, Oliver is very much like he needs to have. He needs to be given a itinerary. For each side's plan going forward, you know.
Did Oliver have to do parent-teacher conferences in his capacity as a shop teacher? Yeah. So it's just more of that.
Yeah.
Really.
Essentially, yeah.
He's a real cruise ship vacationer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's Oliver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Oliver thinks that cruise ship vacations are like the upper echelon of vacations.
Yeah.
You know, as far as like if someone's
an RV trip on the sea.
Yes. Yeah. That's for rich people.
Okay. But so definitely like guided tours.
Yeah.
Though. Like he needs the whole like thing like
oh yeah. Oliver would never go backpacking by himself in Thailand or something. You know, it's not that kind of that's not him. Yeah.
He seems like
he's a like all inclusive Mexico, like, you know, that's Oliver, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be like, oh, there's this option to do zip lining. That's all right. Just grabbing the thing, going to sit down by the pool, and just being like,
there's food here.
They just.
Why do I got to go anywhere else? There's just food here. Yeah.
They just.
Oh, look, they're parasailing over there. That's neat.
Oh man, it looks exciting.
It looks fun. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not exactly the adventurous type, so. Yeah, I still don't even really. That's something I should probably look into. Is like outside of the game. It's like what all these things represent and what they want you to do, but there is a joy in like being ignorant, you know. It's like I don't know.
As a Kaitif, you can sort of invent what kind of vampire you are, and that's the nice latitude you have in this story.
I have a lot of wiggle room.
You can talk to as many cougars as you like.
Yes. That's the plan anyway.
No less than 3.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask real quick, just on a personal, this is a question coming in from the Molly, if there's any selections from the sort of mood setting music that you would play at the top of sessions, if there was any sort of, if you wanted to set a Dice Friends, Not a Drop to Drink, Tale of Vancouver Island by Night kind of ambiance in your home, what should you be playing?
What was that one we watched the one time?
Hawaii?
We did the. Yeah, was it the real weird one?
So
That narrows it down.
Which real weird one?
Wow,
It was definitely a Corey.
Dang.
it was a
yeah,
Corey thing.
Corey picked it. It was the Vampiro one, the Japanese
Oh, Soul
song?
Dracula.
Soul Dracula.
Soul Dracula. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, Soul Dracula.
Yeah. What I would choose to play before a vampire game is very different than what this table requires.
Mm-hmm.
I have a full. So Soul Dracula was amazing. I was asking Corey to like, because she's got excellent taste in music, to like, can you throw up like a couple of tracks? We try to listen to the intro song before like we start, recording for a thing. I have playlists and music for I usually a lot of times I'll write a whole character around a song. Like I'll hear a song and then like create a character around that song, and that's where some of the SPCs come from. I can share one. Hold on. If you want to know what Monica's song is,
Ooh.
give me a second. I just need to find it. I'm desperately looking on my Spotify as quickly as possible.
Okay.
It's just giving time for chat to get.
Gwen Stefani, what you waiting for?
That's very good. It is Boyfriend by Dove Cameron.
Wow.
If you haven't heard that, that's Monica's sort of.
That's the temperature in her soul.
Yeah, right now at the very least. Yeah. Yep. So I've got a lot of music. I love mood setting music, but a lot of the stuff that I think of as vampires will bring down the energy of the table, which is why, because I'm like, yeah, this is fucking it's good and fucking meaty, makes you feel so dark, like it's raining inside and you're just staring out the window into the rain in your own soul. Fuck yeah. And then everybody gets really sad and depressed, and it brings the whole energy down for an improv kind of comedy group. So I just asked Corey to do it.
And one time I did it, and I played Jesus and the Mary Chain song. I think Just Like Honey. It's on my Joe playlist, and y'all were like, "No, that's slow and depressing. This is like what Johnny plays, Johnny Knives." And I'm like, "Okay," and that's why his band is called the Mopes.
The Mopes,
because people were making fun of my music choices.
I was fucking into it.
Not making fun of him.
Cameron, go ahead. Sorry, bud.
Oh, no. I was just saying, it makes sense that Joe's playlist would include stuff that she associated with her sire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's, one of the ways we make connections.
But does anybody have music that they associate with, or that they play to kind of get in the mood or get into character, or that they associate with their characters?
Yeah, I've got, I listen to Ben Frost. I think he's got one song from called Catastrophic Deliquescence that I really enjoy, that I also kind of associated with Heat Death, so it might just be a song that I like.
It's your role-playing song.
I like that we've solved a mystery here tonight. I guess I just like this.
I mean, there's a lot of music that I just kind of listen to. Maybe all the characters I play are the same. I don't know. But there are moods that I enjoy getting into.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Roly Porter's album Third Law when I'm thinking about what Silas would be doing. Also just Bach, right?
Mm-hmm. Study music.
I think the Goldberg variations are something that he kind of jive with his both his precision and his improvisation, right? They're very emotive. So Glenn Gould's specifically is his 1955 one where he's humming along. That feels like a both exercise in precision and adherence to a kind of ideal, but also very joyful.
It's order, it's repetition, it's discipline, it's all the things that you value and that Silas values in architecture.
Yes.
And his work, yes.
Yeah.
That's fucking rad.
What's in Oliver's car stereo?
Only Bohemian Rhapsody.
Not true.
Probably AM radio of some kind. Yeah. He really loves that Now You Know the Rest of the Story guy.
Oh,
It's like his favorite.
I missed that.
Yeah.
The original podcast.
Yeah.
The-
Oliver loves Now You Know the Rest of the Story. I don't even know the name of the guy that does it. Paul Harvey. Thank you. Yeah, he loves Paul Harvey. That just brings that, but that's very much like a young, like my childhood thing too, because that would be playing on the radio, like at my house. Like my dad would listen to it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So most things that I associate that dad, like Oliver likes, I think, are byproducts of what my father liked.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
The
like
kind of music you would play loud enough to hear over shop equipment, and it would still come through.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not really like I wouldn't classify Oliver as like a music person. But as far as like me, the player, like I don't really like get in the mood, like I'm just ready to play when I show up. I don't know. There's no like preamble,
Yeah.
That's my secret cap. I'm always ready.
Yeah. That's essentially, I don't know. It's just like, I'm just ready to go, baby.
Yeah. No, Oliver lives in that world. He doesn't wander into our radio that much.
Yeah.
Is that something like as you feel like Oliver's going to change and grow that you as like your preparation as a player might change?
I mean, maybe. But I mean, I'm always been like a one step at a time kind of person. If it changes, it changes. But what I'm doing right now seems to be working. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing until I feel like I am not performing up to a level that I expect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
It's like,
I absolutely get that.
I feel like my process works, whatever that means. I don't know. Like what I do is working. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
It ain't broke. Don't fix it.
Yeah. If there's one thing that Adam Savidan hates is overcorrecting, where it's like when one thing doesn't really work out, you don't need to change the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's okay. It's just, it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep working at it.
Yeah. Similar to your relationship to preparation and overthinking, right, Jacob? You just kind of just loosey-goosey, just seat of the pants, just kind of.
Yeah, no, totally. I love doing that. That's a.
Just the chips fall where they may.
Totally. That's what I do.
Is it
hot? God.
The person who said like planning is the enemy of anxiety.
Preparation is the enemy of anxiety.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in it, I need to do that so that I feel comfortable to actually make sure that the chips fall where they may, because I've already done all the work. So whatever happens, just happens, and that's okay. But in order to get into that place, I have to do a ton of preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just because that's how my brain is wired. ADHD is a hell of a drug. Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Heather?
Music? Well, I don't really have anything yet specific to Jessica because I've been working on some mood board things, but I get nervous around talking about music because that was a thing I got bullied for quite a bit. So I don't really, my brain will dump music as a topic when people are like, hey, what music are you listening to? Nothing. Just nothing. But before shows, I was listening to, for myself to warm up, I was listening to First We Take Manhattan, covered by Jennifer Warnes. It's originally a Leonard Cohen song.
Nice.
That I really like.
That's really good. I'm just opening up my Spotify and just writing all these down now.
Got sticky notes coming.
Yeah.
Well, while Jacob is updating his playlist, I think we're on another hour, so let's take another quick break.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come back, more fantastic memories. Welcome back to the program. For our welcome to Loading Ready Run presents Dice Friends Not Adopt or Drink a Tale of Vancouver Island by Night Series 2 of 5th Edition Chronicle Q&A. Got that all out in one breath that time.
You did very good. Very proud.
You did great.
Molly.
You're friggin' rocking this. You're an amazing moderator. Like,
Thanks for making a good thing that I enjoyed watching. It was very easy to research this. It's just a delight to cram it into my brain in preparation. So thank you all once again. And thank you everybody in chat who's been with us this whole time. You darlings, with your lore questions and things.
Fangsters.
You fangsters.
Gangsters, yeah.
Is that I'm looking forward to, I think that there's a lot more pioneering to be done in the way of fang puns, so I have confidence in y'all. I'd like to step back a bit and ask the coterie if you have any questions for Jacob or each other about your experience. Anything else you want to unpack?
What was said in the bathroom?
Maybe nothing for all you know.
Give us the answer, storyteller.
So that's actually where the bathroom scene and making sure that pays off, because I don't want to leave anything that's never going to pay off, provided we get to continue doing this. That's where the idea of doing the next set of memoriams as pairs came from. So I was thinking of actually doing that as a memoriam, or in part as a scene in one of the memoriams coming up. For Oliver and Silas, happy fun time. Because a lot of stuff could have happened in there, but all you know is that you came out with a clean bathroom and like a good conversation, and you were closer.
And a bag of rats.
Yeah, and I would like that to be an on-camera scene. 2 bags of rats. It was 2 bags of rats.
2 bags of rats each.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think.
So
like
Enough to
50 rats,
share.
yeah.
It's a bag for everybody in the coterie.
but I plan on paying that off.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yep. Come on. What you got? I made your lives hell. Hit me.
Okay. You said that Reverend Brother Sweetwater came from another campaign.
Yes.
Uh,
He was I just kind of took him whole hog from another campaign to this one.
It's too late to give him back.
And why did they pick this character for us to murder and never give back?
Oh, okay. So this actually, I wanted to give 2 of my home players, Ryan Eichen and Akash the Car, who are both amazing indie video game audio people, and my absolute best friends. I was like, I got the opportunity to do a series 2. I'm currently planning the campaign out. Who do you want? Like, I want one of the storyteller player characters from your game. I'll put it in series 2, just as a little treat for my players. And they were like, Reverend Brother Sweetwater. Well, one said Reverend Brother Sweetwater, the other one said Chansey. Who has just been a running joke in that game and has never actually made an appearance. He's just like the Nosferatu that's always there, and we just talk about him as like this dumb joke character. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll just take that and make it real. So Reverend Brother Sweetwater is just a horrifying kind of Southern preacher cult leader that they wanted put in this game, who is a member of the Sabbat, or a splinter of the Sabbat, who is a big like Gehenna end of the world cult. And that's where Reverend Brother Sweetwater came from. And if you talked to them, they had like tempting, lovely things to say to everybody. Very, very charming, very like, invite you in, talk about your problems. Think like real big cult leader energy.
Never got to that point.
Never happened. So good.
Nope.
Yep.
No, we don't. Homie, don't play that game.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
that's
the wrong neighborhood.
Oh, yes, he did.
We went to that neighborhood.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yep. That's where Reverend Brother Sweetwater came from.
Well, I hope he
Can we
enjoys
get-
going back there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can't.
I was a little sad we didn't get to stake him, so he could stick around.
Keep in mind, though, that the Tsimisi are masters of flesh crafting.
What does that mean? Okay, I'll look it up later.
Flesh
It's fine.
crafting.
What does flesh crafting mean?
Yeah.
No, I mean it says. I think it's what it says on the tin.
It's what it says on the
No.
tin.
Yeah.
It's body horror, the discipline.
Well, so we have flesh crafting on the table, but there's also necromancy. Is that are
Yes.
they same discipline or different?
No,
There's
they're very different.
several ways that
Yeah.
Sweetwater. We maybe have not heard the last of him, but certainly
It's
not coming out of his
entirely
mouth
possible.
anytime soon because we smushed it.
Yeah, did we check for that third hand? Maybe that hand escaped.
You specifically did.
I know.
Yeah.
Just crawled away
you
like a
specifically did. Yeah. Oh, somebody said they might not have their heart in the right place because the Tsimisi can sometimes, with vicissitude, move their heart around. No, they turn to ash. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
Can't fake that.
Dead. Yep.
So you're telling me I could put my heart in my thigh and then no one would ever be able to kill me because they would never know?
If you have that discipline, it is a possibility. Yes.
Yeah,
But then if somebody sat on your lap,
It's more that
Yeah,
they wouldn't be able to
followers of-
stake you.
isn't there a follower of set ritual where they can put theirs in a jar?
There is a Ministry of Set ritual,
Ministry of
incredibly high level, where they can take their heart and put it in a canoptic jar. Yes.
Aw.
Yep. And hide it somewhere. Doesn't mean that they can't die. They just can't be staked. But if you find that heart and you take a chopstick and you just go, then somewhere all the way across the world, they're going to be like, so I've got... Yeah. Good question.
Mm.
I have a question for people because I like how mundane our setting is, being our local city that we live in, and we're just hearing about like, oh, we went to the college and had a run-in, or we're in Machosin.
It's it's still the world of darkness. So like you got to imagine like all the shadows are longer. And
I want to ask if there's any
But
like,
Walmart is
local
still there.
landmarks or things where people would want to have a scene. Like, would we
Ooh.
want to go to the Empress or something?
Mm.
I mean, I was very excited when we went to the Walmart because as a teenager, where I grew up, late night Walmart late at night was the only thing that was still open. And so that is where you went to hang out that wasn't trying to sneak into a bar.
Mm.
you know, where a lot of natural light doesn't get in is the world of miniatures downtown.
Oh,
Just saying.
There is a
Hashtag
bug
just saying.
museum or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bug petting zoo.
So you can make friends with all the bugs?
Yeah, well, I can talk to them.
Yeah. They're all just
Yeah.
pressing up on the glass like, yes, papa.
Yeah, come my children.
I like how the question was, is there a landmark? And the first thing that was mentioned was the Walmart.
Yeah,
I don't know. I really enjoy the fact that we're on an island and surrounded on three sides by water.
Mm.
But
yeah. It's like I don't expect us to go to Tofino for surfing.
We could all go whale watching as a coterie as a fun group bonding activity. Wouldn't that
are
be
we
great?
like?
I was told no open sea.
yeah,
Are vampires allowed to
It's an
travel?
inlet.
Do we have to get a permit? Like, if Oliver is like, yeah, I want to leave the island, does the vampire council have to be like,
I think the
nah,
ferry.
It was strongly implied that Silas was shipped to the island on a box.
yeah,
hmm
No, if there is like a strong Camarilla presence, it really depends on what the local government's like. At this point, no, you could just leave.
no,
It is more difficult to travel as a vampire because most human services run during the day and there's the whole sun thing to worry about. So there are
Mhm.
challenges, but nothing politically is stopping you.
okay. I wasn't sure if there was just like, do they need to like okay it? Like, do I have to put in my request to corporate?
Get a
And they'd be
passport.
like,
Your
yeah,
vampire passport.
my vampire passport.
When you
Vamp-
enter, I'm sorry, go ahead.
passport.
Vamport.
When you enter somebody else's domain, it is tradition to declare yourself. Because if somebody meets a new vampire or something like that, you can be like, who are you and what are you doing here? So typically you want to declare yourself, but you can usually sneak through other people's domains with nobody ever finding you because the saturation of vampire versus like kindred versus kind is very spread out. So you can definitely usually get through domains to get somewhere else. Flying on
This is
planes
like-
is very hard though.
Like, if Oliver wanted to go to Seattle, would he have to let the Seattle vampires know that he's coming?
Not that he's coming, but when he's there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you have connections down there, it's nice to let them know.
Yeah, get someone to pick you up from the ferry terminal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you a lot more vulnerable because you're like not at your home turf.
hmm Well, yeah,
Their
one of the
usual
things
feeding
that
sites.
I think knocking over Reverend Brother Sweetwater really impressed on Silas is how tremendously vulnerable we are.
Mhm.
Right. So, any illusions he had of security are probably completely gone. And
See-
he's probably taking that a lot more seriously now. I.e., declaring yourself when you go someplace, just being a good guest, unlike what he did.
Mm.
Mhm.
Is he thinking about how we maybe are going to make some people in the government mad that we took away their blessings or whatever he was doing to those people when they left?
They'll probably get over it.
I assume he was doing a midnight mass and blood bonding them or ghouling.
Mhm.
There was an entire scene where he dripped blood in
Yeah.
the doorway of the thing into the mayor and his wife's mouth.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yes.
But if you're not
Government.
familiar with municipal politics in Canada, their power's kind of limited. So
They'll drink out of anybody's veins. They're not big.
I mean, sure, but
what are they going to do? Tear up the bike lanes outside my house?
Right? It's just like,
Oh,
the
permitting.
head of police. Oh, now I'm in Saanich. There's a different police department.
So what I'm hearing is that I need to up the stakes for my players.
How are you spelling steaks?
Sense of threat.
Like,
Yeah.
Oliver
for
can make
Joe.
mistakes.
Not
Yeah,
for
if it was
Joe.
if it was the assistant deputy minister of public safety, that would be dangerous. But the mayor.
I recall last Q&A we did for Series 1, there was a question that said something along the lines of, from a scale of 1 to 10, how far do you want to go?
Mhm.
And a couple of you went 10s.
Mhm.
Did you get your 10s?
No, but I don't expect it to go from 0 to 10 immediately. I
Yeah.
like a slow build. I'm a
What
I'm a
number
big
would you
fan
put
of it.
on Oliver talking back to Quinn on a scale of 0 to 10?
In regards to like the greater arc of the story.
The sort of emotional sort of peak of it.
Oh, I think it's pretty low. Like, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. It's a start. It's a step.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what the point of it was that, yeah, there needs to be a start somewhere. So
You need a 1 to get to a 10, yeah.
yes, yeah, that's the
Mm.
one, I think,
Mhm.
to get to the journey to the 10. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, this was a lot. Some of the series too was pushing emotional boundaries a little bit too. Not boundaries, but exploring what people were comfortable with and how folks would react. There were moments where it was definitely me litmus testing what you're cool with and what you're not, because to be quite frank, not a lot of people are, and I've tried to have conversations with folks of hey, emotionally, what are you cool with and things like that. And that's not necessarily something that I learned playing with this table, is that that's not necessarily the right approach, because a lot of people are just yeah, whatever, let's do it, all right. So it's an exploration of, I have to take kind of a slow build and kind of explore what people emotionally are cool with at the table and what they're not, and then check in with everybody outside of the game and be like, was that cool? How did that feel? It's tough to ask the question beforehand sometimes with certain folks, and definitely with this table, I think, of hey, where are your limits? I don't know. Can we kind of hold each other's hand and kind of try to find them? And that's sort of what we're trying to do here. Yeah. Yeah. And it's also me finding hooks for all the characters and stuff before we try to take people to where they're comfortable being. Yeah. I hope somebody cries.
Yeah, and like I said,
Not
When we-
in a
Other than
bad
Marge.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when we discussed how far emotionally on the scale of 1 to 10, I brought up that I have to put in work myself as well as a player in order to get there, because I don't know, something like Marge being stuck in a dead-end job that's killing them is that resonates with me a lot, but not enough to make me cry while I'm performing, because I was just
Yeah.
yeah, this is somebody else.
And the other person has to buy in too. Like, you know, if I'm doing my best as a storyteller to try to take your character and you a little bit to an emotional place, if you're not ready to buy in that moment, or kind of it gets brushed aside, nothing's going to happen. Nothing I do can get you to that place as well. You've got to resonate with it because, like, for example, Oliver's frenzy.
Mhm.
Like, it was like, okay, this is the first time he's like not only feeding on a human, but he's feeding on a vampire. And like Oliver bounced back emotionally really quickly from that. Just like, oh, that stinks. I'm covered in blood. And we didn't really go into exploring that because Oliver bounced back so quickly. And then we just like, we kind of like moved on with the story. That's definitely something that could have lasting effects, but that moment wasn't the right moment to try to dig into that. And that's something that you have to understand when you're at the table, and kind of like almost cold read the players to be like, okay, cool, not the right moment. Maybe we can like bank that and explore it later a little bit as like some like continued trauma, or just not at all. You know, it really depends. It's a running negotiation. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Like how, you know, when you order food on a menu that has a variable amount of spice and you know you can handle baby spice, but most spicy, it's hard to abstract most spicy until you've had most spicy, and you don't want to throw your players into an incredibly spicy situation without knowing how they handle the intermediary levels of spice.
Right. Yeah, because I don't know what your tolerance for spice is. You can be like, fuck me up. And it's like, okay, ghost peppers. I'm dead. Like, you know.
It tastes like ash.
Yeah. Just tastes like ash in my mouth. It's because my tongue burnt. Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like you've definitely set us up for a 10 by just dropping my daughter into this chaos space. It's like, ah!
I telegraphed that too.
I know. It's just like, oh, I've got a surprise for you.
You're like, oh, that's great, honey. I've got work to do.
Yep. Very busy right now.
Or if she was just like, Mom, this is my boyfriend, Chansey.
I know, right?
He's in a band.
She doesn't have boyfriends or girlfriends. She has conquests.
And honestly, if Danielle hooked up with Chansey, that would probably be okay. As long as he treated her correct.
I'll treat you like a king or a queen for a day, but only a day.
You can't chain this dog to a post.
If you need to hunt down Chansey because they've been treating your daughter bad, Jessica will be there for you.
Like,
Yeah.
I really want a Chansey the Rock God tour t-shirt, like tour 2017
much.
t-shirt, where he's just playing increasingly awful venues. Like there's a
But in
prom
the
at one
various vampire
point, and then
strongholds,
like,
yeah.
you know, the parking lot behind the dumpster, like, you know, inside
The opening of an
disused
IKEA in
deep
New
fryer,
Jersey.
outside
Oh.
Denny's,
Mhm.
inside a currently rotting possum, played, you know, June 30th.
A Dave and Buster's in Poughkeepsie.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Chansey THE or Chansey THA? The Rock God. What is the canonical?
THE. Grammar's
spell
very
Chansey?
important.
How do you spell Chansey?
CHANSEY.
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 He needs as many vowels as possible.
Gotta show off this lisp. It's
Yeah.
a moneymaker.
Yep. Well, it's because he's got jacked up teeth.
He's got
Yeah.
jacked up most things.
He's just a jacked up dude. So I have a question. Something that I like a lot of times, you know, I've been running games for a very long time. And a lot of times, I've noticed that there at many of my tables, the syndrome of like the latest NPC is my favorite NPC. Have you run into that? Like, is there an NPC that like you would want to see more of or less of? Which is totally fine. I don't take that personal because I try to create them as some of them are just straight up reprehensible. I mean, you smooshed the most reprehensible one. I think that you've met so far, but it's like, as far as the group goes, is there anybody that you'd want to interact with more? Anybody that you like really liked? One,
I mean-
definitely Bloodbound now.
My favorite's always going to be Quinn, but that's just
That's because you like to annoy him.
It's just easy to play off of too, right?
I want to see more of T-Buck, especially after maybe they've dropped their accent.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I would really like to see what happens when T-Buck starts becoming bloodbound.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
that takes a while.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we stuck him in a basement, and I figure we'll pull him back out when we're ready.
I really like Nosferatu, so there was that door guy, Rat.
Yeah,
Rat.
rat.
Yeah.
Rat
yeah.
with two teeth.
Like the band.
Mhm.
Yeah. Maybe just, Chansey and Rat.
Mhm.
Yeah. Setting up, definitely not ShrekNet 3.
I want to meet my other, all the werewolves, hopefully.
Mhm.
I mean,
You keep saying that.
One of them works in IT.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you
I-
could definitely find the one again. You've got a business card.
Yep. Yeah, just have one of those relationships with them, Cold War, like a KGB and a CIA spy meeting in Hungary every few months in a bar, being like, "So is everyone you work with still a giant idiot?"
Yeah. I also imagine it as the World War II trenches, like friendships that like people would like yell across.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the middle of the night, you all get up and play soccer.
I would
It's beautiful.
still like to meet all the werewolves, said the vampire player. Would
All of them.
still all the werewolves.
Well, I mean, they've got one tier of escalation.
Yeah. Well, even that's debatable.
I mean, they can just come in and kill us at any point.
That
Is that true?
not necessarily, no, because they don't operate in cities well, and there are you're not their only problem. If you were their only problem and they wanted to solve that problem, they could solve that problem probably fairly swiftly, but also you're very good at hiding, and not every werewolf knows what a vampire looks like unless they're like actively feeding. There are some werewolves that can go like, "You're bad." But you'll notice that Chance, the guy that you met, Chance, said you don't smell so bad.
Mhm.
So there's certain levels of whatever it is that they're sensing in you that seems to be affected by how much of a person you are and how much of a monster you are.
They have smell the beast.
The ability, at least in Werewolf 20th Anniversary Edition, is because the 5th edition of Werewolf hasn't come out yet, is called Sense Worm.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's their thing.
So
and
that's-
worms like the
Y.
anti-environment.
Yes, with a Y. Yes, the essence of corruption and destruction.
Yeah.
And they can kind of sense that in some werewolves. But it has been known, even in Chicago, that there are alliances that have formed between some kindred and some werewolves as well. Vancouver, as a matter of fact, that has had that happen as well. Don't know where the state of that is with Siegfried being gone, but I did base current Vancouver off of the Vancouver by Night book, which was a combination vampire and werewolf book from 20 years ago, from second edition.
My big question, and this is the open question, remains, why was Vancouver Island terra incognita for so long for vampires? And is that just as it turns out, it was a Sabbat stronghold and they just killed anyone who came over? And that's, a totally valid answer, as is there were werewolves, but I think Silas is hoping for a slightly stranger answer to all of that.
Bigfoot.
Protector of the island.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is werewolf law as strict as vampire law?
Yes, sometimes, most times, kind of. Yeah.
Are they not allowed to say werewolf?
They don't. They say gauru.
Oh.
That's the word that they have for them. Yep.
Yeah.
Does it come out of a human mouth, or do they say that when they are in
Garu.
their beast form? Garoo!
Well, it's the French word. Ugaru is werewolf.
Oh.
They have different
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yeah, they have more guttural names and more primal names for themselves sometimes. Really depends on what tribe you belong to. Yeah, that's a whole other bag of cats, though.
Want to be like, oh yeah, Silas hung out with a Nuisha once. Just being like, oh no.
What does that mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what a Nuisha is, buddy.
They are like coyote werewolves.
Yeah.
Oh, dope. Are they like
Yeah.
North American native?
Yeah. They're well, kind of. They're a bit more. Don't want to say whimsical, but on that spectrum, a bit more trickster spirited.
More trickster spirited, yeah.
Yeah.
The Farah are like all of the other kind of were creatures, is what they're called. But again, werewolves are a whole other bag of cats.
Yep.
And they may change a whole lot of it for the new edition of Werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
You
Are there
kinda
werecats?
hinted that there was a mage active or around. Did we meet them?
When did I
circles
do
they
that?
have? How many levels of
That might have been
primal
a
do they have?
conversation.
Huh. When did I say that? I don't remember saying that. My memory's bad, though. It's
Did they ever disclose what the 10th circle is?
back
And was
when
it Nile or
Uh,
nothing?
no, Nile is a Wraith term. Back
Okay.
when they brought Mage to a close, like back like 19 or 2003 or so, they hinted that it was Unity. The 10th circle was
okay.
Unity. This is going to not matter to anybody else.
Yeah,
But there's
yeah.
the answer to your question.
Okay, yeah. I remembered it was either like, yeah, it was something to do with either like
We should-
singularity.
We should get off this topic,
Okay.
or else that's all
It'll
this is
just-
going to be.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about where coyotes. I'm
Yeah.
as a clan.
Yeah, once we start cracking the door open to the rest of the World of Darkness, things are going to get any. So anyway, any other questions about the campaign that we did or the chronicle that we played?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Something from I believe the seventh session wasn't put in the cube, so I just want to follow up. Is Katie Lang a vampire?
Ooh.
Because she would be called Katie Fang in that case.
Hmm.
Damn it!
Was Marge always supposed to stick around?
That was up to you completely.
Yeah.
You adopted that thin blood, and I just ran with it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you completely had the option of being like, "That's weird."
All right, see you later.
Yep.
Yeah.
We could have gotten rid of them. That
Pulls
like,
out
we
vampire
asked.
gun.
And then Quinn was like, "I'm going to leave that to you."
Yes. Yep. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Marge was the goblin you adopted, if you were going to put it in D&D terms.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
But-
every campaign I've played, we've adopted a goblin. It just happens. Not all
Or even in
my fault.
space.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think Heather referred to herself as a chaos goblin. I think with those words, so it's only bound to happen.
Like there's a certain point, there's like I can see it in between certain sessions where I'm like, oh, that's the point where my brain triggered into a different thing, and Heather decided to move Jessica in a certain way.
Like what?
Getting her to go inside the blood lab.
Okay. Yeah. Is there any way that like you as a player like want your character to go in or like want to push them in?
I have to spend more time thinking about that.
Got it. That's fair. That's very fair. I understand, Adam, one day at a time, Savadan may not have an answer to this question.
No.
It's
Yeah.
something I've been thinking about.
I don't know. Like, I don't mean it as like that I don't care.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? Yeah. I've just always operated better on like a spur of the moment kind of person. Yeah. I'm not much of a planner.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's how very Buddhist of you. I live in the now.
Very
Nothing
much
else
a vibe.
exists.
I'm a vibe checker, you know? So it depends what the vibe at the current time is, and then I will decide how I feel, you know?
Yep, that's fair.
Especially when I'm playing like tabletop games, I will just like, because I don't like to have an idea of how I want things to go because there's too many moving parts with too many people. You never know how someone's going to react or how the storyteller is going to react. So
I think I'm very predictable.
I don't think so. Man, that's a lie. I don't know. I just kind of a grip it and rip it situation, you know?
Amazing. So what does everybody think what does everybody think the deal is with Mary?
I mean, I don't know. It's definitely some kind of Malkavian low generation thing who's coming here, apparently, or is present, or has taken an interest. So that's, extremely scary.
Old vampire.
I remember from reading the Malk book in 2nd edition coming across something like that, although I don't remember the specifics of it, and I've been reluctant to, Google it, because it seems like it's in, poor taste as a player to just be like, oh, I wonder what this is. Now I have all their stats.
Yeah, I think there's like a Malkavian primogen named Bloody Mary in San Francisco, but like that's just kind of a possibility. But you did a lot of interesting things during the Blood Walk with like turning into a baseball person, which is kind of a different not the direction I would have expected that particular character to express themselves. It's terrifying, whatever Mary is.
Yeah, because whatever they are, I don't really know what Thin Bloods can do, but the things that Marge has been doing do not seem like things within their wheelhouse necessarily. That feels like Marge is being hand puppeted around by something a lot scarier. And a lot more kind of unpredictable, but with an agency.
I do want to say that anything that I am doing, I'm not playing loosey-goosey with the rules or anything. There is a lore justification for everything that is happening. Yeah.
I just assumed Marge was like, or not Marge, Mary is a very old vampire of some kind that can do something like there's some sort of like dominate thing you can do from far away. And maybe it's not quite like that. Maybe it's something similar to that. But that's, about as far as into reading some of the stuff I've done. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. There's an old vampire around who's just putting themselves in other people's brains and using them in whatever way.
Okay. Cool.
Now that I'm thinking about it, when you're running a game like this, is there like, I mean, the comparison to like the Masquerade is like when you're running a vampire game is like, do you have to check in with the other people that are running vampire games, like bigger ones, like LA by Night, and like, you know what I mean? Like, can I use this or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
just get on the phone with Jason Carl, just like, hey, can I use this NPC?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's like a rule book or like, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to run like does
Storytellers Guild?
Yeah.
No, there's not a shared world. That's why I say when I introduce like set in the world of darkness, that's why I've used the phrase, this is our world of darkness. There's no shared world between a lot of the live plays or anything. I would love that. I would not turn that down. If Jason Carl called me up and was like, hey, will you do a thing? The answer would be an emphatic yes. But no, there's no shared world. There's no like Marvel Studios thing. I do know that all of the ones that are run by World of Darkness, the World of Darkness brand, all take place in the same World of Darkness, but this is our World of Darkness. And I am setting it as close to, or I've used, elements from all of the books and all of the official stuff to run something specifically for us. What I am trying to do with this is that Vancouver Island, because I want this to be an introduction for a lot of people, is a microcosm of where Vampire the Masquerade is currently.
Mm.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. Hopefully, it seems like we've been pulling that off. It seems like something that some people have noticed, which is neat. Yeah. But boy, would I love that. Oh my God. Oh, trading guest stars and things.
Actually, I have
Yes.
a question to go back to an earlier fork in the conversation where we were talking about, questions to ask each other.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Tremere rituals and powers require very specific things,
Mm-hmm.
like silver bowls and other weird trinkets and paraphernalia,
Mm-hmm.
which might be, difficult to come across. But we have somebody who makes things. Adam, how do you feel about, being on retainer?
I mean, be open to the idea.
It's a thought.
Yeah.
How does
I
Oliver
can
feel
always
about having
drive you to Valley Village.
Got room in the van? Whatever you need.
I don't know. I think from a character standpoint, Oliver's kind of lost because he doesn't have a 9 to 5 anymore. He's not really working,
Mhm.
He has no direction. And Oliver is a creature that needs structure in his life.
Mhm.
And it's something that he doesn't have right now. So I guess that's the kind of the thing that's one of the perks that like the vampire clans afford to people, I think, is some form of structure.
He'd sure get structure in the Camarilla.
Yeah. I don't know if Oliver really grasps the enormity of that structure yet,
Mm.
But, just something that would make him feel a bit more integrated
Mm-hmm.
or, needed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like part of the struggle for Oliver is like even from a player standpoint is like trying to fit in, like he doesn't feel like he fits in at all. He went from being a human and not fitting in, and then now he's a vampire and he still doesn't fit in. And even worse, like he's like a Kaitif, right? Like it's even worse, That's like if you could label loners in the human world, like you could give them a stamp and be like, "Yeah, you're a weirdo,"
Here's
That
your
everyone
Reddit account. Have fun.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah. So I never thought about it like that. Now that I'm saying it out loud, but I was like, that's pretty cool, right? I like that.
Yeah, you could think of it as being lost and left out, or you could think of it as freedom. I mean, it's a kind of independence.
Yeah.
It's very, very looking forward to seeing one day where this coterie goes. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye this time and go back into our wooden boxes where we sleep. Just kidding. But we'd like to thank our storyteller and our troupe for weaving together a wonderful story for us.
Mm-hmm.
Another beautiful chronicle in the bag.
Thank you, everybody, for your time and attention. And again, thank you to my players for just going on this weird, like what started as an experiment and has now become a thing. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I've never had so much fun
Ever?
playing a tabletop thing.
Oh, okay. All right. It's like, oh man, I've either done really great or that's really sad.
Both.
Just take the compliment, Jacob.
Molly, thank you very much for moderating this and having such
thank
wonderful
you.
questions.
I had so many questions. I'm just glad to be asking them. Thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing what clan Katie Fang ends up being.
Banu Hakim, probably. Yeah. Anyway.
So I think we say goodbye to our friends on the YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dingle
for
the bingle
being-
and so on. Thank
Yes,
you.
indeed.
See you later.